Alright, welcome ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another video in our somewhat weekly Skyrim mods showcase series, where we go through the hottest, most interesting mods on Nexus that'll give you tons of satisfaction and joy. And what a couple of weeks it's been, just incredible. There are so many good mods out there. With the upload of the very well known Amidian-born Book of Silence now ported to SC, I just thought it couldn't get any better, but boy was I wrong. Picking one mod to feature in this video started to get quite challenging as there's so many good ones. This is what makes the Skyrim modding community so awesome. I mean, after all these years, we're still seeing quality mods being uploaded as I speak. I love Skyrim mods, and so do you. So let's just get right into this video with the first mod. From the mod author Retrospect, who's out here revolutionizing the Skyrim jumping mechanics with the mod Jump Behavior Overhaul. If you've ever been in the belief of the base vanilla jump animation being quite strange and unimmersive if I dare say so, then this mod is for you. Through the fairly recent Nemesis engine, the mod features all new handmade jump animations based on real-life references. But what does that mean, you may wonder? Well, as you can see here, rather than just floating up in the air with no effort, visible effort by your character will now be seen as they'll do their best to bring their knees up high while propelling their arms to reach that maximum height, with the body actually reacting to the fall. The jumping is quite dynamic as well, as the jumping animation outcomes is related to your character's movement. So, when moving forward, you'll see more effort put into the jump, in the form of a long jump to reach as far as possible. This one's actually got two different looks to it, whether you want to choose the original extended leg hurdle style jump or the newer bent knee style. No matter which one you choose, you can be sure of the fact that they'll look good. There's also a specific animation for the backwards jump as well. Trust me when I tell you, these animations feel really good in use, giving you a more immersive experience when playing. It even removes that weird looking sliding for certain jump landings in the vanilla jumps, so your character will actually take a moment to brace themselves upon landing. Now these landing animations actually change depending on fall height. You've got the normal one you've already seen, as well as a more impactful animation in an attempt to brace themselves a bit more when falling from higher up, with an even more drastic attempt to save themselves when taking fall damage, where they'll bring both of their freaking hands down to the ground. God, the immersion. And that's not all. No, it gets even deeper, with a couple of more unique landing animations added through the perk system. There's the badass heroic landing for all you badass heroic people looking to assert dominance no matter the occasion, the rolling landing for you acrobats and thieves, and lastly there's the really fabulous looking slowed down floating landing for people of the magical arts. Who knew jumping could be this immersive? Jump Behavior Overhaul is a must, definitely when paired up with other animation mods like 360 movement behavior. Moving on to the next mod, we've got Believable Weapons, that as suggested by the title of the mod, sets out to make weapons more, well, believable. Cause let's face it, the vanilla axes, maces, swords and warhammers simply look like toys. I mean, they're so thick, which just doesn't fit with the whole idea of these being used as weapons to pierce and cut your opponents to death. So this mod immersively changes the shape of the original weapons, with 85 new mesh replacers. No more irregularly shaped weapons with bizarre details, no more one-handed swords with grips for 3 hands. No, the mod simply makes them more believable, and it does that without any drastic changes to the design, so as not to ruin the original artwork. These weapons simply look a lot better now, and may give you a bigger incentive to use some of the more lackluster weapons, or ones you may have grown tired of thanks to these new fresh revamped looks. You know, why does this axe have 2 weird edges? Who designed this? This can't be safe to use. That is until now. It just looks better, doesn't it? And that pretty much just sums up the whole mod. Yes, indeed, it just looks better. Now I've previously been an avid user of Leon Wolf's popular better shaped weapons mod, and don't get me wrong, it's a great mod, but rather than only focusing on the shape of the blade, Believable Weapons makes even more noticeable changes when it comes to the other aspects of these weapons, giving them a more complete overhaul. If you're tired of the vanilla weapons, but don't feel like adding a bunch of new weapon mods to your load order, this is the perfect mod to go with. It's pretty much compatible with whatever textures you've got going on as well, so make sure to give it a go if you haven't already. Next up, we've got Window Shadows by Haley. Yeah, I think it's just Haley. No matter, this is a lighting mod which focuses on casting shadows. Yes, as you can see in the vanilla game, the shadows seen are very limited and the interiors feel kinda bland. But with this mod, window silhouettes and tree shadows will be nicely cast upon the interiors. And it just looks mighty fine if I do say so myself, cause there's a more unique ambience with the mod installed, while of course making these interiors look closer to what we see in real life. But now you may be thinking, it's too light, Kim. Shouldn't it be darker when there's no great amount of light sources? And I definitely do agree, you know. That is why mods like enhanced lights and effects are so popular, as it gets both lighting and shadows done very nicely. So with enhanced lights and effects providing you with the nice dark interiors, and window shadows by Haley giving you them amazing shadows, it will make sense to combine the two together, right? Well, that is actually not recommended on the mod page, with the mod author pointing to another lighting mod instead, in the form of enhanced lighting for ENB. And as you can see, it provides the mod with a more atmospheric look, with darker interiors and ambient lighting, as well as that nice looking dynamic fog. The two mods mash together like bread and butter, and as you can see, the result holds a candle to the very popular enhanced lights and effects. These interiors simply look stunning. It gets pretty much everything right. Now of course, as I think it's the case with most mods that make changes to the visuals and feel of the aesthetics, it definitely takes some time with the use of different mods to find out what's right for you. So although you get an idea of the different looks with these comparison shots, I suggest you do like me and try them both out, switching back and forth yourself to end up with the look that's right for you. We all have a different taste when it comes to this kind of stuff, but now you at least know that Window Shadows by Haley together with ELE makes for some wonderful looking interiors. The way the light rays come in through the window into the interior, casting shadows of the window silhouettes onto the floor. Wow, who knew we could make Skyrim look like this back in 2011? And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for what is probably this year's most stunning player home mod. It's certainly up there with the best of all time. We've got a mod by Moosmupfil called Laboratorium. And before I show you the amazing looking house itself, we gotta go through the different tasks and stuff you gotta do in order to obtain it. Yes, you gotta put in the work for this player home, and it's definitely worth it, as the mod authors put so much time into everything about this mod, with the file size on Nexus being of a whopping 1.1 freaking gigabyte. Your whole venture starts on the road leading from the town of Dragonbridge to the city of Solitude. Somewhere on that road, you'll stumble upon what is a wreck of a carriage, flipped over into a big mess, the people riding it suffering a cruel fate. I mean, just look at this guy, he's been absolutely ripped to shreds. That just can't have been comfortable. When looking around the area, you'll find this estate letter which will start the heritage quest. It reads that the recipient of the letter's aunt has passed away, declaring that person as the sole heir of a cow, a goat, 4 chickens, and a magnificent property near the dark waterfalls, in a laboratory that is said to have served as an inspiration for many great scientists and thinkers. With the death of the aunt, she's left a total of 20,000 septims as well. Nice! But with administrative expenses over the last years leading to a total of 30,000 septims, a deposit of 20,000 septims have already been taken, with another 10,000 needed to finalize the transfer of her possessions. Oh yeah, stonks. Sincerely, Thalmorian Estate Department of Solitude. Goddamn Thalmor. Oh no, why did I do that? It's all over my screen now! From here on, the journey leads on to the Thalmor's estate in Solitude, where upon entering this room, you'll find this book, containing information about the heir of the property, the nephew called Lord Duncan residing in Riften, which then of course is the next location of interest to go find him. Once here, you'll notice that things look pretty normal, except for the newly added notice board, quite conveniently containing a missing poster of Lord Duncan, who was last seen near the north gate of Riften in an argument with 4 men. As you continue out the gates of Riften into the wild, you'll eventually find this weird spot, where there's obviously been some form of a fight or struggle. Left behind is the tracks of a carriage you'll of course have to follow. Now as you can see, this proved to be a bit hard due to my tall dense grass. Luckily, as I am a hoarder of all kinds of mods, I had more than a few already installed to choose from, so I just picked one of them and voila! It got a bit easier to follow the tracks. And it gets even easier to follow it as you go up the snowy mountainside to find this strange looking encampment with a couple of men that obviously never learned to not sleep outside in the middle of nowhere in a snowstorm. These men obviously had something to do with Lord Duncan, so next you'll have to find the location the Lord went to seek shelter. And what better place to do that than in a nearby cave with—
Let's just get this over with.
Ah, for Talos' sake, it's a quest inception. As it would seem, this orc had shown up here as a part of another quest line leading into this cave. Luckily, I was able to use this to my advantage, as I managed to use him as a shield from all the dangers of the cave. Now, somewhat deep within the cave, you'll find the Lord, or should I say the late Lord, as he's been left hanging off this sharp pole, looking very much not alive. In this letter, the Lord explains how he was in debt to a man in Cyrodiil, leading to him getting captured by some mercenaries, where he found his escape through the blizzard, which eventually led to his demise in this cave, where his last words is of hearing voices from the cave. Tasked with avenging his death, you'll then have to kill the bandits lurking inside here, and it is then you can finally start making your way towards the mysterious estate in the Letter of Inheritance, located at the end of this uphill path atop a waterfall. situated on top of the waterfall with that fully functioning water wheel. It truly is a sight to behold. But before we get deeper into the look of the house and its various features, there are still some things that need to be taken care of before being able to call this your home. As you arrive at the front porch of the structure, you'll be prompted to make a choice on whether you want to leave Lord Duncan to rot in the cave and steal his inheritance, or find a suitable place to lay his body to rest. As I didn't feel like being a stuck-up bastard, I went with the latter option and found a suitable space for his grave outside in the garden, which then led to the Thalmor handing over the estate as thank you for the clarification of the missing heir. And as I finally made my way into the player home, I was alas met by a rather unpleasant sight, as it wasn't in its best shape, infested by both spiders and rats. So after clearing out the whole area of these creatures, you then gotta move on to clean the house, and much to my surprise, it was actually quite interesting to see my character slowly transform these rooms into their proper states. Ah yes, let's just fiddle around here a bit, and there you go, just like IKEA. Bang the wall up a bit, and ah yes, out comes a perfect painting. After you've cleaned up the whole house, you gain access to this book, letting you know that the discoveries and possessions of the world's greatest minds who frequented the house have been hidden out in the world, and so you must travel far distances to retrieve these items. Why, you ask? Well, they're needed to get the most out of the house and its features. Once you've gathered all of these possessions and placed them back at the house, you can finally take a breath and just take in the full might of this gorgeous player home. Now, what is probably the most noticeable feature here has to be the fully functional lift to traverse up and down from the house. It's been made in a really creative way, and although a bit iffy at times, it does work and looks quite charming when in use. There's just something really majestic about going up the lift towards the house, which, as you've already seen, looks amazing. You can definitely tell from the outside that the mod author went with a look befit of someone obsessed with science or magic. Now, there are multiple entrances, but what I consider to be the main one is situated to the left, where you'll also find the garden from earlier, as well as a cow, some chickens, and a nice outdoor toiletry. But it is, of course, when you go inside the completed house, you'll get an even greater idea of the sheer effort put into the mod by the mod author. Straight off the bat, you'll enter the hallway, welcoming you into the home with some nice stuff, like this neat holder for your keys. Moving on into what I believe to be the living room, it's got pretty much everything you'd expect out of a living room, you know, bunch of furniture and decoration. It feels lived in a way, like someone else living here and you're just lurking around without permission. I mean, someone even forgot to finish their chess game here. Now, it is here you'll start to get an idea of all the interactable goodies in this player home, with this fireplace you can turn on and off, as well as a masterful looking piano that actually plays music. The attention to detail here is outstanding. Every nook and cranny of this place got something nice to look at. Just take a look at that special looking ceiling and all the paintings situated on the walls of people I'm too ignorant to know the name of. I think that's Jesus. And that's the Emperor freaking Nilfgaard from The Witcher. In fact, there's a lot of familiar faces and assets from the Witcher series to be found. The home's design really gives off a vibe of the houses seen in the bigger cities of the Witcher games. Moving down a floor is the kitchen and dining area, with all the tools and ingredients you'd need to hone your culinary arts, as well as custom storage units for both your raw and pre-made foods. The cooking station is situated on a big ass stone oven grill thing, heating up some mighty tasting looking foods if I do say so myself. The dining table in the middle can be set up with different looks, whether you want to start cooking or start dining, giving you the opportunity to roleplay if you're into that. You can even do the dishes with the click of a button. If only it was like that in real life. Down another floor to the basement, you'll be met by a lot of technical stuff, like this brilliant water wheel washing machine thingy to keep your clothes clean, and this functional bathtub that'll provide you with a nice relaxing bath, even giving you a bathrobe when you get out. All these mechanical things really add to the story of this place, a place frequented by people obsessed with science, which is certainly the main theme of the room a couple of floors up, filled with all kinds of laboratorial tools, with this globe thingy spinning high above what looks like a study of the more darker parts of science, with all these skulls, brains, and cut off heads. It's got everything you'd need to come up with some bizarre stuff at the alchemy station also found here. Now, as I was admiring all these brains, I made notice of a weird sound coming from the wall. It sounded like someone was lurking behind here, so I decided to take a closer look, exposing my eyes to some cruel dark abomination no human on this planet deserves to witness. This dude is apparently named Whiskey and is described on the mod page as a vendor. I believe I'm correct to assume that he's supposed to be one of the heads in the jar. At least you now know not to look through the wall. Ignoring all the craziness of the lab and taking a look at the other side of the room, it's certainly a nice nice place for your character to relax in, with some fancy, cozy looking furniture. Here, you'll also find one of the most fulfilling spots of storage I've ever seen, with specific drawers for each item in what is a store and auto sort system. Just take a nice look up as well, and you'll see a ceiling befitted of the divine gods. It's clear that the mod authors implemented some art and devices from the Renaissance. To continue further up the house, you'll have to make use of the creative little elevator thing that'll take you on up to the laboratorium attic, which is where you'll find your new stunning looking bedroom. And if you're wondering why there's a watering can hanging off the top of the bed, well, it's actually a part of the activatable alarm system. Yes, so you'll never have to worry about oversleeping and getting late to all your dragon slaying duties ever again. The room certainly got some kind of magical or astronomer vibe to it. You can even activate the lantern of the stars in the middle of the room to surround yourself with some next level stuff to gaze upon the stars. It's stuff like this that shows the mod author's love for this mod. He didn't have to include all this, but he did. And more amazing stuff's to be seen after opening up these curtains to reveal the very Leonardo da Vinci-esque workshop. It's got everything a man of science might need. It's stacked with all kinds of scrolls, tools, as well as different types of uniquely modeled stations. The room's got a real messiness to it as well, like someone's just been here furthering their research before they had to leave, leaving you with the aftermath of all their work. Further back, you'll also find a small crafting and smithing area, as well as what I believe to be a bed for a follower. Going out the door leads to a planting garden area atop a balcony containing all kinds of different plants, beautiful flowers and vegetables for you to harvest and cultivate. It is below here you can actually find the last room we'll take a look at, in what is a nice office area, stacked with books and stuff you need to calmly solve the most mind-dwindling research and problems. There's a couple of really nice features here as well, like the movable ladder and the use of both the telescope and the blackboard, with all kinds of mathematical formulas bring me back to some very eerie memories from my days doing maths at school. Other than that, it's also worth mentioning the extra exit found in the house, with a passageway leading further up the mountain. As this guy puts it, Moose Mapfel really is a very talented creator. The look of the house, together with the quest, and not to mention the various interactable features that there are a ton of, makes this a mod I definitely recommend trying out. I'm not even sure if I've discovered all of the wonders of this house yet, as there are a bunch of tiny animated things hidden around, so you'll pretty much be walking around like a kid in a candy shop touching every single little thing. This really is an outstanding player home mod. And now it's time for even more mods. Yes, next up is 3 mods from the mod author Art by Mary, who's been one of the most active mod authors on Nexus these last months, with her amazing retexture mods. The first mod we'll take a look at is Nightshade by Mary, a nice little 2K retexture of the nightshade flower you see all over Skyrim. As you can see, the retexture affects the flower all the way down from the root to the petals up top. And in addition to the bluish color you see right now, you can also go with other color variations, in form of a nice gold one, a bright one, burgundy, as well as a darker one to add some more mystique to your Skyrim flora. No matter which one you choose, you can be sure that your nightshades will look the best they've ever been. And with the nightshades now looking as good as this, I can think of no better time to move on to the next retexture mod, Deathbell by Mary. This is an up to 4K retexture of the very intriguing looking Deathbell flower. I've always found these flowers to be quite nice, with the way it just hangs down from its stem and sways in the wind, especially now that the retextured petals look so good up close. This one comes in different color variations as well, with the normal vanilla colored one, blue, purple, black, red, white, and yellow. So you can add some nice vibrancy to your game with whatever color you fancy. Even the foliage comes in different variations, with the vanilla foliage, a more cold looking blue one, as well as the strong colored green one. The mod author's plant and flower retextures really add a lot to the look of the landscape when roaming around. Moving on to the last one of her mods we'll take a look at is the mod Glowing Ebony Armor by Mary, a high quality reimagination of the base ebony armor, giving it some more flair and the look of badassery. Looking back at the vanilla ebony armor, wait, it's not supposed to look like that. Hold on. There we go. Oh god! The vanilla ebony armor looks quite bland in comparison and doesn't really add a lot to your character. I mean, you'd expect more out of the look of the legendary ebony warrior. The mod simply adds nice glow textures onto the entire armor, making you look fierce, scary, and fabulous all at the same time. The glow comes in different colors as well to fit different types of character builds. Along with the blue, there's the gold and the green, as well as the red, and lastly the white color option. Take a look as the ebony warrior gets a nice upgrade to to Ebony Warrior 2.0 with that nice golden glow that truly makes him look like a foe to be wary of. Now whether you want to install the standalone version for use together with the vanilla Ebony armor or the replacer version, you'll be more than satisfied. It's not often I go with heavily armored looks like this, but the glow is what gets to me. It just looks stunning. It will be really cool to see more glowing textures like these on the top of the other vanilla armors and outfits, as it adds some much appreciated uniqueness. Who would have known? Skyrim and Tron, the crossover we didn't ask for but needed. Next, we've got a mod that'll provide you with a set of some new, very epic destruction spells with custom behavior and visual effects. This is the mod Astral Magic. If you're looking to add some new spells that'll strike fear into your enemies, look no other way, because here are some ancient spells tapping into the flow of the immortal plane Aetherius, drawing starlight to strike opponents. There's a total of 5 new spells. First, there's the Astral Bite, which lets you fire 4 energy bolts, each dealing 8 points of damage. Firing out of the blue balls in your hand, these bolts look really cool, and they've got a nice fire rate to them. If you're outdoors, not only does it do 4 extra points of damage, but it staggers your enemies as well. And when you put your hands together like this, it looks like you're about to fire the Kamehameha wave, which is something I very much like. Another spell is the Astral Blitz, a nice beam of astrolight dealing 80 points of damage to both stamina and magicka, as well as health when outdoors. Upon impact, the beam bursts into a nice little blue-green explosion. The Astral Wind is another rather unique spell, with Aster Gust rending your enemies of 10 points of magic resistance and 40 points of armor rating, with the spell being twice as effective outdoors. This is a really nice one to, when in use, follow up with a couple of sword strikes to deal the finishing blow. Being more of a trap spell, there's also the Astral Rune that when cast on a nearby surface, explodes, dealing 40 points of damage, as well as when of course outside, also spawning a hostile magic wisp that'll aid you in battle. These are really nice to stack up in a group when in trouble. And lastly, there's the very powerful master spell, the Astral Strike, a spell that, get this, actually brings down a whole freaking comet down onto the marked area, dealing tons of damage to all targets near the impact. This is some god level magic, and you'll feel real legendary as you'll be able to bring down whole comets down onto your enemies. The spells are all set to appropriate levels of spell mastery, which means you'll have to level up your magicka quite a bit to put them all to use. I love the look of all the spells, as well as the immersive bonus they all have when in use outside, as they draw power from the immortal plane as previously mentioned. This mod is definitely a very nice addition to any magic-based playthrough. And last up, we've got a very light-hearted mod that aims to bring more love to your game. There ain't nothing greater than 2 souls so intertwined that they decide to do their vows and live the rest of their lives together. However, despite this, Skyrim's marriage ceremonies are pretty lackluster, so the mod AWS, Animated Wedding Scene, aims to change that, breathing more life to the player wedding scene by playing a new set of animations appropriate to the situation. But in order to showcase this, I need to get married, and how in Talos' name am I going to be able to find someone to marry?
Let's not waste any time. I want you inside me.
Alright, I guess we're marrying her then. What better wife material than a strong Nord woman, huh? After you've found your spouse, just do the ordinary act of traveling to Riften and setting it all up at the Temple of Mara. And upon the day of the marriage, as the butterflies rumble around in your stomach as you walk down the aisle towards your future partner and say your vows, the animation will take place as the two of you will share the rings before embracing, as all couples of marriage do, before your partner starts walking away as usually like nothing happened. No matter, the small additional animation just adds a little something to make these weddings feel more special. This mod will definitely make you feel closer to all your future Skyrim waifus. And that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this and want more, do not forget to hit that like button and leave a nice comment. And of course, as always, make sure to endorse all the mods seen in this video on Nexus. Without the mod authors, none of this would be possible. Also, you would make me very happy if you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to become a part of this ever-growing community and not miss any future uploads. With that, this has been Gim. May your role lead you to warm sands, everybody. See ya!